What is up, YouTube? This is Copy7789 here, coming at you guys with the second video in the deck analysis series. Excuse me, and that would be um, a deck that's become, I guess, popular uh, more recently. It's done pretty well at the major level tournament, having won YCS Philadelphia, and that would be, of course, Chaos Dragons. Um, I played the deck for a little while myself. It's really, really good. The plays that you can make with the deck are ridiculous. Light Pulsar is just one of those cards that um, is just really good, and then Darkness Metal is obviously huge, and its effect is really, really good as well. Um, One of the things that's really extremely good about the deck is the way it can just tutor and get whatever it needs to relatively quickly. Like with Eclipse Wyvern, it's extremely easy to get to the Darkness Metals you need, and especially to get to Dark Arm Dragon, which this deck has absolutely no problem manipulating the graveyard to be able to drop Dark Arm Dragon like it's nothing. Um, Yeah, I mean, this deck, it's got a lot of really good matchup. That's actually, and one of its best matchups is against Dino Rabbit. And the main reason I say that is because it can pump out big monsters all the time. Um, I remember I played Chaos Dragons for YCS Philadelphia, and I played, I think, against 3 or 4 Dino Rabbits in the tournament itself. I did not lose to a single one. Um, the ability for me to, either drop something like a Chaos Sorcerer to get rid of their stuff after they've used up a Lagia. The ability to drop Light Pulsar and just attack over everything. And if they end up lancing it, like let's say they lance my Light Pulsar, half the time I always had a Darkness Metal engraved, so I could just bring that back and it still continue to attack over their stuff. Um, and then of course Darkness Metal is broken, and then you get to the more underrated cards in the deck. Like I mentioned, Eclipse Wyvern. Eclipse Wyvern is an incredible card. It's one of those cards where it just tutors everything you need. It gets you the Dark Arm Dragon, like I said, which is so easy to drop in Chaos Dragons. Um, it gets you to Darkness Metal to basically set up for your in a turn where you might actually be able to OTK and all that kind of stuff. And then you get to a really underrated card, in my opinion. People only play 2. I was playing 3 when I played the deck in Dark Flare Dragon. Um, First of all, it just its removal effect is broken. Obviously, against Inzectors, which is probably your worst matchup, and Chaos Dragons. Inzectors and Windups are probably your 2 worst matchups, but um, well, and Gravekeepers obviously, but yeah. But against Inzectors and Windups, it helps you to remove their Hunter if you were able to stop their OT or their loop or something. For against Inzectors, it helps you get rid of their Hornets. Um, and the fact that if your opponent does end up veiling your Dark Flare Dragon, the it's a cost to discard and send, meaning it's another way to just set up your graveyard. Like if you have a dead Eclipse Wyvern, or if you have an Eclipse Wyvern in your hand and you're able to drop the Dark Flare Dragon, you discard the Eclipse Wyvern, and you remove, like I said, Dark Arm Dragon, and then it allows you to put something like a Light Pulsar into the graveyard. So Dark Flare is just one of those really underrated cards in the deck. And then of course there's Future Fusion. I almost felt that Future Fusion was one of those cards that I didn't even have to mention, but I figure I might as well just throw it in there. That deck, if you open Future Fusion and your opponent doesn't have a response to it, you're going to win the game. It's bottom line. If you open up a Future Fusion with a Chaos Monster in your hand, it's just game. Oh, and then another Chaos Monster that I probably neglected to mention, Blackluster Soldier. It's so easy to drop that card in the deck. There's just so many big monsters that the deck can drop, and with engines like the Lightsworn engine, the Lilas, which you use to pop back rows, the Rykos, which you use to pop back rows, and then Solar Recharges and Card Troopers. You have all the milling necessary to get stuff into your grave. And then all you do is just use, obviously, stuff like Lance to protect your monsters when you drop them. and you use dark the staples, of course: Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn. And then one of the other things that I really like about the deck is it's really, really easy to side with. Like, depending on your matchup, like the side is pretty standard. Like, there's no standard side deck, obviously, for any deck. But for me, when I was siding in with it at YCS Philadelphia, depending on the matchup, it was extremely easy for me to side deck. Like, I knew exactly what needed to go out and exactly what needed to go in, because there's so many things that you can interchange within the deck and still not take away from the engine and still not take away from the capabilities that the deck has in order to drop big monsters and just swing for game. And then, yeah, I mean, the Chaos Dragons is just one of those decks where I think it's going to be popular for a while. I'll say this: if they don't touch it on the ban list, which I have a feeling they're going to, a pretty good feeling actually that they're going to, because Chaos Dragons have probably been doing well for a little over 4 or 5 months now. So yeah, I definitely think that they're gonna touch the deck. It is a very, very good deck, and one that's not super expensive to build. You get 3 of the structures, and then you buy and then you have basically the extra deck stuff that you need. You basically have everything for the deck. All you really need, I think, are like, it gives you all the Lightsworn monsters that you're gonna need. Besides, like, I ran an Aaron in my build just to deal with problem cards like Zenmaines and Spirit Reaper, because Spirit Reaper can be a problem card for the deck. But you get a couple cards on the side. Like, it gives you the Dark Arm Dragon you need. As long as you get a BLS somewhere and the extra deck cards, you basically have everything to build the deck. Because you get the Light Pulsars, you get the Dark Flares, you get the Eclipse Wyverns, and then you get Chaos Sorcerers, you get the Lilas and Raikos, you get the recharges and the Charge of the Light Brigades and all that stuff. So Chaos Dragons is one of those decks where I could see it being around for a long time if the ban list does not hit it. So yeah, that's my opinion on it, guys. I've always been a huge fan of dragons, so just to see that a dragon deck is finally doing well, really, really well, makes me pretty happy, actually. So yeah, stay tuned, guys, for tomorrow's video. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It might be another one of the big 3. I already did Wind-Ups and Chaos Dragon, so I may just end up doing Dino Rabbit tomorrow. So yeah. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Alright, peace out, YouTube.